listen, please, for the love of your supreme being or lack of, right? Stop buying people's presets and just make your own. I'll show you how to do it. It's the simplest thing on this planet, okay? When you open up any of your photo sets, okay? Simple. The first thing you're gonna do is obviously check the histograms and see exactly what's going on, where your data is being lost and where it's actually hiding, okay? What I'd like to do first is come in, remove highlights, but obviously not attempt to destroy skin tones, but keep them to the point where they're moderately even. Let's say this. The shadows, I generally like an HDR type of feel, but not too insane. Obviously the world has shadows, so don't destroy that. That's generally the telltale sign that you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? All right, let's see what else we have here. I like contrast. Contrast actually deepens or saturates the image, so keep that in mind. Also, at the same time, all right? That's about right. I'm actually going to play with the exposure just a little bit to see if I can remove some of the glow on her forehead. That will most likely be a Photoshop thing. Let's see. Okay, yeah, that looks good. This was actually done by mixing natural light and a strobe. Okay. Now for the whites itself, all you're doing is basically looking for the whitest or brightest spot on the image. And what that does is actually make that obviously brighter. Hold down Alt and click, and you can actually move the white slider over to where you actually have a super white spot. But by doing this, like, you tend to make it look terrible. So yeah, let's remove that. I'll just go for my eye instead of doing what the computer thinks. The same thing with the black. Alt click and you will find a perfect black spot. Like just right when it starts to show, should be good enough. For clarity, removes saturation, so keep that in mind. Don't go too crazy with that because it looks ridiculous when it's over implemented. I generally stay around like 9 to 12 at the most, right? Dehaze is not needed. Vibrance adds warmth to your color or lack of. Let's go up a little bit. I'm not adjusting saturation, I'm fine with it. I shot with the strobe, so technically 5500K should be perfect. Technically, that should be flash. Yeah, 5500K with no tint. Okay, that looks good. Now for the coloring, let's see. I'll adjust certain colors, but I'm guessing you want to do some type of fancy Instagram style preset. Personally, that's not my style. I like to keep things as natural as they can be with the addition of strobe, which sometimes is rough to keep, let's say. I do like the shade of her blue jeans, so I'm not going to really adjust that too much, but I can see if I like it different or lack of it. Let's see. Yeah, it's fine. Her pink nails should be fine under magenta. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Personally, I don't sharpen my images because Lightroom, for some reason, cannot handle sharpening like in a great manner. 58 would be the highest I would ever do, personally. As long as you have a good glass, I think, you don't really need to do that anyway. The detail slider is kind of the same thing. It's kind of like the new texture slider in Photoshop 2020. Seems like it, at least. Noise reduction muddies the whole image, so I'm not going to do that neither. Lens correction is the obvious thing you need to do. Remove chroma. Okay. Let's say if your image is not like, if you have like long lines of some sorts in your image, just go to transform, go to auto, and it'll perfectly straighten your image based off of the lines within the image. Now, for some reason, with the lens correction, which should have been done first, honestly, I see that there was a crazy vignette around the image, and now the image is too bright for me personally. Okay, we're gonna lower the highlights. No. Okay, lower the exposure. Maybe I overshot this shot a little bit. In terms, well, overlit the shot more like. Okay. And for me, I like this. Okay. So what I would do is I'd come over here, go to add, create the preset, create. That's it. Test one. Group custom. Okay. Okay. If you want to do something unique to the image, a lot of that can be found under split toning. Here we go. Basically what you want to do is find complementary colors that work. The highlights, I like to do blue, and shadows I like to do somewhat warm, or you can obviously flip it. I think if you flip it, it's the more common way of doing it, right? And you can actually do some type of split toning to the image. We're gonna add the hue. I'm gonna come up a little bit. I'm gonna zoom out for you guys. Okay. Right. Let's just fill it to the face. Okay. And we're gonna balance it how you like it. Let's see. Add more saturation to actually get the color in. And balance it. Okay. And that's kind of how, that's all it is, literally. Please stop buying presets. And if you actually want to do something else different, a lot of the information can be hidden within tone curves. Right, a simple one here. Here, let's say. And come down. Contrast. And you can literally just create looks by just doing this. Now you have that warm look that seems to attract people. All right, or you can play around with your white balance also, same. But I'm gonna leave it how it was. So yeah, basically, please stop buying presets and make your own. I mean, I'm not trying to undercut people's business, but I think it's a terrible business practice to purchase presets that were made specifically for an image under a very specific lighting scenario. That the people who are generally buying presets are people who actually are new to Lightroom or new to Photoshop, etc. And it's not really fair to continue to sell these things to people who have no idea how to edit things or to how to correct it to make it their own. So instead you have people producing images that are identical across the board. I mean, how is this for the love of photography? I don't know. More to come.